Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Grade 5 2021 exhibition. I'm Miss Camilla, the Grade 5 teacher. I'm just here to say thank you, everyone who's joining us on our live stream. And I want to tell you how proud I am of this incredible group of people who are sat right in front of me now as our audience today. They have worked so hard on this. And they've had a bit of a challenge to try and squeeze in all of their learning from the past 8 weeks into a 15-20 minute presentation for you. But I'm sure you'll be really impressed with what you see today. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to your host for tonight, Mr. Cedric Schmid.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the live show. It's a pleasure that you switched on. I've seen all these 5 exhibition groups in the last 2 weeks. I've seen how hard they've worked and how much work they've put into this. So a big round of applause for the 5 exhibition groups. The groups have also told me to say thank you to a few specific people, to Mr. Ecker and all the mentors, Miss Isabel, Miss Judith and Mr. Thomas. And I also want to say thank you to Miss Camilla, who was pushing me to my best, even if it was sometimes pretty annoying. And another thing, if you have any questions or comments you want to write, please go to slido.com and enter the join code 818012. And if you want to look at the sways the students take, go on to www.iceden.ch/exhibition-2021. Thank you very much. And now I don't want to say any further, so now please welcome the Space Group. Woo!
Space Group.
Hallo, willkommen zu die 2021 Exhibition Space Gruppe.
Здравствуйте и добро пожаловать в группу по космосу по Exhibition 2021 года.
Our central idea is we will never ever go to Mars because we can't even take care of our own planet. Our first mentor meeting was where we brainstormed ideas that could connect to space, and we said why they connected to space. After that, we watched a SpaceX documentary where we thought about reusable rockets and how they can help and destroy the environment by having to cut down less trees for money, and when they relaunch, it can release a lot of carbon dioxide into the air.
We were lucky enough to have an interview with my dad's colleague who did an internship with NASA and the ESA and the CNES.
What is astronaut training like?
Difficult. It's difficult, but it will change. It's difficult because so far you don't send a lot of astronauts, right? In the history of humanity, you have a few hundreds of astronauts, not more, right? And we're 8 billion nearly on Earth, and we have billions of people living before us, for the last thousands of years. And so really, it's just a few hundred people. So you have to select the best. And so you select usually those people because they're smaller in size, so they can fit into smaller capsules. They need to be very smart because they need to understand the complexity of space and the environment they're in. And they're going to be alone in space, maybe with 1 or 2 other astronauts. and they have to adapt to the environment they're in. They have to take decisions very fast, which are life-threatening. Doing A or B might leave you to live or die. And also people which have very good physical condition with no sickness. And so there's a number of criteria for selecting astronauts. And so it takes a long time. You can train your whole life to be an astronaut and actually never fly in space. So only a few, and they select.
So my first concept question is, what is astronauts training like? As already Julian told us, it's very hard to train astronauts because they need to train for about 4 years, and also they need to learn a lot of things. For example, engineering systems of spacecraft, languages, Russian is very important, leadership skills, and others. They also need to practice for EVA, space folk. So at this picture you can see centrifugal force. Astronauts need to practice this because you need to get used for spinning, because ISS is always spinning to make fake gravity. At this picture you can see VR astronauts training. They are doing different activities on Mars. And at this picture you can see how a person is learning to sleep in space. So my second concept question is, why do we need to send rovers to Mars? We need rovers because we need to find out more information about Mars. For example, if there was water on Mars before or not. So 5 rovers were sent to Mars. Is Sojourner, Opportunity and Spirit, Curiosity, and Perseverance. Sojourner was sent to Mars and at 1997 to demonstrate low-cost method of delivering science instruments to Mars. Curiosity, Spirit, and Opportunity was sent to Mars at 2004 to demonstrate and to find out more information about waters that was before at Mars. And Curiosity was sent to Mars at 2012 to find out if there's water at Mars or not. And Perseverance was sent to Mars in 2020 to find out more information about Mars.
My first concept question was, how has Mars exploration changed? It's changed since the rovers have landed on Mars, and the 2 rovers I will be specifically talking about is Ingenuity and Perseverance. Perseverance has a super camera, which has a laser, a microphone, and a camera. Ingenuity can fly and has a camera as well. And here you can see a picture of the SuperCam. My second concept question is it ethical for humans to live on Mars? My personal belief in my research is no, because SpaceX is planning to make globes that can only fit 1 to 2 people. And if we wanted to make an established or to make food up there that we need to buy, we would have to make a currency. And it couldn't be just regular paper currency, because that would blow out of your hands and then just get shredded to pieces. So it would have to be metal. And here you can see on Mars the differences between gravity, where white is the strongest and dark blue is the least strongest. At the top and bottom it's the strongest, and around the middle it's the least strongest, and in between it's an in-between. Thank you.
My 2 concept questions are, what is space medicine and why is it important? And how has our understanding of Mars changed over time? Traveling is nothing good for our body. If you're in a car for 2 hours, then some of your muscles might go dead. If you're in a space shuttle for 8 months, then it can have a serious effect on your bones. Without enough physiological help, your bones will weaken and become as weak as a 65 to 70-year-old person. Without any at all, when you get back to Earth, all your bones will break. Lack of gravity is another problem. There's these crystals in your ears that detect movements. In space where there's no gravity, they'll be floating around, which can make you sick and throw up. I think humans could improve space medicine because there are some cases that can happen to you in space before space doctors figure it out, and you could possibly die from that. Before global surveyors sent Mars missions up on Mars, such as the rovers, we basically didn't know anything about Mars. The Hubble telescope took pictures of Mars as well, but the Hubble telescope is being replaced because it's been up there way longer than it was scheduled to. Its replacement is called the JWSP T. It stands for James Webb Space Telescope, which will be sent up there in October 31st, 2021. This will help ISS research as well, because Mars is crossing Earth's path in orbit of the Sun. This will help scientists do research on Mars. The ISS can only fit 6 people at a time. Expeditions usually last 6 months. I think it's strange that Mars lost so much of its water. My question is, where did it all go, and how did it all go? We managed to learn more about Mars by handing out a survey to figure out people's opinions. Most people didn't want to go to Mars. I could totally agree with them there, because even with a spacesuit, there's no oxygen on the surface of Mars, and high risk of the spacesuit breaking. So I wouldn't like to go to Mars. It doesn't sound that fun unless technology is advanced enough. In conclusion, throughout exhibition, I've learned that even if I've done more research than needed, then it can still be helpful, because imagine I was in grade 2, then if I'd done more research than I needed to, I probably would have just thrown it away. Exhibition has taught me that it can be helpful even if it's not related to my topic. It can be helpful for my team.
I think after doing research, I feel like I could answer any question that was Mars related. And it's shown me how small it made me realize how small we are in the grand scheme of universes. And during the process of researching, I noticed that rushing can make me will make me make mistakes, and it won't help me because then I can't really talk about anything in my exhibition. And I've also learned how to organize things better. Our group has used the STEW system, See, Think, Explain, Wonder, which has helped us keep all of our information very organized.
So exhibition taught me how to communicate with the boys, because I have 2 boys in my team. And also I learned a lot of interesting facts about Mars and Mars rovers and other things. If I could do exhibition over again, I would try not to get spray paint on the music room floor and try to speak more slowly, so my words will be clear and more.
Wow, this was an absolutely amazing speech. I could know that the Mars is so interesting and why they don't want to go to Mars. You said you don't want to land on Mars, but you say you didn't want to go to the chat room, so let's go. That's very good to hear. So, you made it very clear that you don't want to go to Mars. But how would it be being an astronaut?
I mean, if I had enough experience, I probably would like to be an astronaut.
Even though sometimes the rockets fail.
If technology was good enough, yeah, I'd be willing to take that risk.
Okay, that's very risky. And Olga, I've heard you know so much about rovers that are going to Mars. And which one is your very favorite rover?
I think Perseverance, because it is new, and like Perseverance have a lot of cool stuff. For example, camera.
Yeah, that would be my personal favorite one after watching this way. Mine too. And Michael, are you sure you don't want to go to Mars?
Yes, very sure.
Because for me, it would sound like fun.
It probably won't, because you would get hyperthermia before you would have fun, because it is 50 to 60, negative 50 to 60 degrees.
Are you kidding me? Like, are you
No,
choking?
not at all. It is usually 60 to 50 degrees negative.
Negative, not
Yeah.
positive. You're sure
No,
it's not positive?
No, negative.
Oh my gosh. And there are no clouds up there.
No, you can't just go snowboarding down at Olympus Mons halfway through winter.
Okay, then I love skiing, and I love the cold, but I don't like minus 50 to 60. I've never experienced, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
And what other dangerous things are there?
Well, there's a lot of ravines that you can just fall into and get stuck and die. There's also some mountains that you'll get stuck on and die as well. Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to go to Mars.
Like, at the beginning, first I thought, okay, yes, I really want to go to Mars. And now, after hearing this, I rethink it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got some questions from Slido. So, somebody wrote, what excited you most about the space exploration?
Well, in the SpaceX documentary, it said if anything bad happened to Earth, then we'd go extinct. But if some humans were on Mars as well, then we wouldn't go extinct. But my personal opinion is that probably nothing bad will happen to Earth unless we see an asteroid plummeting towards us. But I find it pretty exciting if we do clean up our act with Earth and its pollution and figure out a way to go to Mars.
That would really be interesting. Yeah. Thank you very much, team. I'm on the strict timeline, so I have to say goodbye. It was the best presentation I've heard so far, even if it was the first. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, please go to slido.com and enter the code 818012. And before I welcome the group, just give the space group another round of applause.
Thank you.
Now I'll welcome the next group, conservation. And if you...
Hi, my name is Ava. My name is Lisa. My name is Rupesh. My name is Tanaya.
I'll be talking about what conservation is and its impacts.
I will talking about extinction scale.
I will be talking about plastic pollution and where it comes from. I will be talking about the ultra blackfish, the ocean zones, and climate change and how it affects the animals' habitats.
Conservation is a protection of life forms found in nature. It requires a sensible use of Earth's all natural resources, like soil, minerals, wildlife, forests. People who care about conservation try to preserve natural resources so they'll be still around in the future.
life forms have been around for many years and have helped us to have a balanced life. Now let's zoom in into the impacts of conservation. I'm just going to bullet point them so it'll be easy for you to understand. It offers fresh air and clean water. It preserves nature. It builds a healthy place, healthy life, and it maintains the outside temperature. My group has been researching on the birds of paradise, and we thought it was interesting because previously it was hunted by skin hunters, and we wanted to show how it went from endangered to least concern. I'm going to pass it on to Luca, who's going to explain about the extinction scale.
The extinction scale have 9 different stages in the scale. They are not evaluated, means no information. Data deficient means not enough information. Least concerned means we don't need to worry. Near threatened means almost endangered. Vulnerable means something bad could happen. Endangered means they are endangered. Critically endangered means really endangered. Extinct in the wild means zoo or natural park only have them. And extinct means only there are none left. And now I will pass it to Tanaya, who is going to talk about the ultra blackfish.
So our team has been working on the ultra blackfish. We were working on this fish because it has a special property in its skin that allows it to become invisible in the deep sea. The way it does this is it absorbs 95% of light that hits its skin. And we were really interested in this animal's habitat, so we looked into the ocean zones. So the ocean zones are zones which different marine animals live in, and the ocean depth is split into 3 parts: the sunlight zone, the twilight zone, and the deep ocean. The deep ocean has also been split up into 3 parts. They are the midnight zone, the abyss, and the trench. Now I will talk about climate change and how it impacts sea animals' habitats. So, as some of you might know, coral reefs inhabit a lot of marine animals in the sunlight zone. And if you see this picture over here, this is before climate change started. And you may not have known that coral reefs need just a certain amount of temperature to survive in the ocean. But now with climate change, the temperature has been rising rapidly, and the coral reefs are having difficulties to survive. Without the exact temperature and nutrients to survive, they will turn white. It may not look like anything's wrong at first, but if you move on to the next picture over here, then it'll look like something you normally see in your nightmares. But there are a lot of organizations that are helping with this problem. They are planting new coral reefs so that more animals can have more homes to live. And it is also very good for humans because the ocean absorbs 30% of our carbon dioxide. So it's not only great for them, it's great for us too. Now, Rupesh will talk about plastic pollution and where it comes from.
Plastic pollution is a very serious problem as thousands of fishes have been found dead in shores. So, what do we do to stop this problem? First, we have to find out where this problem comes from. We did research and found out that 80% of plastic that enters the ocean comes from rivers. So how do we stop it from coming through rivers? We can place laws that prevents plastic from entering into the rivers and into the ocean. We can also place specially designed nets that can catch plastic before it can enter into the ocean. So, what do we do after we have stopped the plastic inflow? Thankfully, a company called the Sea Cleaners has already made effective technology called the Manta that collects and recycles the trash that it collects. So this may be an effective way to clean up the ocean. Raising awareness is also an important part to solve the plastic pollution crisis. As our action to raise awareness in public, we've made this book called Tim the Ocean Warrior to educate children about the plastic pollution crisis. We have also made this graph, a time or flowchart, that how you can stop plastic pollution in your area. Thank you.
This was another amazing presentation they gave us. So another round of applause, I would say, for them. And if you want to look at their ways, go to www.iscden.ch/exhibition-2021. And if you have got any questions or comments, feel free to put them in slido.com. And the enter code is 818012. Thank you. Now, could you please show me to the chat room? So, you have worked really long on this exhibition. 2 months, what equals 8 weeks, and I don't know how many days. But what was your best experience? There must have been something that was your best experience during those 8 weeks.
My best experience was to work as a group, because I love working as a group. And my best experience was that I got to research a lot more that I didn't know before. Like, I also didn't know that Birds of Paradise existed.
You didn't? Okay, then that's not a new thing learned. And tonight you were talking about the coral reefs. And I don't quite understand. Does plastic have to do anything with them dying? Getting black?
Not really, but since you asked, it does sort of impact the animals, the inhabitants of the coral reef. Plastic pollution has been killing animals for many years. Like reef sharks population has been down by 90% just because of this problem. So no, it does not kill the coral reefs, but it does impact the animals in there.
Yeah. So actually the fish population is growing.
Yeah, the fish population is growing way too much because marine animals are losing their top predators.
It's kind of good for the fish, more fish, but kind of also bad for the fish.
It's not really good for the fish because their numbers grow too much and their schools don't grow in strength in population. The food chain is very important to wildlife, and if that doesn't exist anymore, the whole ecosystem could fall apart.
The whole ecosystem?
Yes.
Okay, and Rupesh, I have also got a question for you. Why should we conserve species? We got so many species of them. We have got extremely many.
Well, consider the whole ecosystem as a overlarge spider web, and consider the endangered species as the border of the spider web.
Yeah.
And if these endangered species go extinct,
yeah,
the whole ecosystem might collapse, and then we will also be dead.
That would be a tragedy. That's for sure.
Yes. I really wish I could live longer than that.
Me too. I don't want to die right now, and I don't want to die today. So very good that you researched about that.
Okay.
So you also have this book, Luca.
Yes.
And I was wondering, where can you buy these books?
We can buy the book outside by the office, and it costs 20 francs.
Okay, I'll maybe go and look. Now, I'm also on a strict timeline, and I don't want the whole show to collapse. So, yeah. Wait, we just got a question from Slido. What inspired you to pick this topic?
me, I've always been an animal nerd, you could say. For a very long time, I was interested in animals. But this exhibition has really allowed me to work on that. But I was inspired because when I was younger, I didn't know really about endangered species. I just liked animals in general. But that's what inspired me to join this. Once I realized that they were in trouble, I wanted to do everything I could to save them.
To save the animals.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we got one more question for you. Do you want to help the ocean?
Yes, of course we do. That's why our group exists.
Okay. So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you here. Give the conservation group a round of applause. If you want to go and see this way, go to www.iceland.ch/exhibition-2021. And if you've got any more comments or questions, go to slido.com and enter the code 818012. Now, please welcome the Art Therapy group.
Hello, we're the. Hello, we are the art exhibition group.
My name is Akshita.
My name is Anvi.
My name is Marla.
My name is Shruti.
Hey, what is art therapy? What happens in an art therapy session?
Well, let me give an example. I have emotional trauma, so first I contact an art therapist. Then we meet privately. After we meet privately, the therapist asks me to draw. I'm free to draw anything I want. The therapist can ask me questions about anything. She will understand my drawing by just looking at the colors. Each color represents one emotion. In short words, art therapy is used where words are not enough. Hey Marla, what about the central idea and lines of inquiry?
Our central idea is art therapy is able to change lives and perspectives. Our lines of inquiry are ways art therapy changed over time, the process of art therapy, and life before and after art therapy.
Can you please explain them?
Okay, so art therapy is able to change a person's life because it's able to change that person's perspective. How it does that is you get a much deeper understanding of pretty much everything that's going on around you and why things have happened to you. In our lines of inquiry, moving on to lines of inquiry, ways art therapy changed over time. If you try to look at this picture here, you can see that because the colors are a bit dark and stuff like that, that's why this is when art therapy started. Here is the new one from now. Here the colors are much brighter. In our second line of inquiry, there is no right or wrong process. It's mostly about what you draw first in a picture. In the beginning of art therapy, the art therapist is the person who chooses the process. But now it's the patient that chooses the process because the process is a really big part of art therapy. In the third line of inquiry, life before art therapy could be hard and stressful, but after art therapy, you have a much deeper understanding again of everything.
We started our exhibition journey by researching on what art therapy is.
Hey, what about the interviews?
We first interviewed Miss Newby, the secondary art teacher at ISAN. She gave us some useful information that helped us in our inquiry. What we learned was that there are different styles of art therapy, and some of the styles are cultural, mandala, acrylic, and Zentangle. Art therapy can have a positive and negative impact on people. For example, some art therapy has a negative impact on some people because they might not feel comfortable doing art. For these people, art therapy isn't the best solution. On the other hand, art therapy can have a positive impact on people because when the therapy really works, they get encouraged to achieve their dreams. This is what we learned from interviewing Miss Newby.
Next, we interviewed Miss Tanya. Miss Tanya is an art therapist that works at a child hospital. From interviewing Miss Tanya, we learned a lot. For example, we learned that art therapy and music therapy are not the same thing, although they have the same creativity. We also learned that art therapy can give a spark to your life and make you overcome your past. That's what we learned from our interview with Miss Tanya.
Hey, what is the difference between art class and art therapy?
The difference between art class and art therapy is, in art class, your drawing has to be perfect. And in art therapy, there is no right or wrong. Art class is where your instructor or teacher tells you to do something. Whereas in art therapy, you can do whatever you want and you'll not be judged. You will simply be asked questions by your therapist just to understand your point of view.
But what about when we express ourselves?
Art and music touches places in young patients where no injection can reach. These are the words we found meaning to after we did art therapy ourselves. We looked for a quiet room where the resources are provided and played music that encouraged us to reflect on our emotions. This allowed us to calm down and communicate our feelings through art therapy. When we expressed our feelings, we learned how art therapy works, how to read colors and drawings. Although we almost had the same paintings, we expressed ourselves in different manners, and this really helped us calm down. This gave us an understanding on how art therapy works.
And what about the PowerPoint presentation?
This is a PowerPoint presentation about who uses art therapy. We wanted to do this PowerPoint presentation because we wanted people to understand that not only people with cancer use art therapy, people with emotional trauma also use art therapy to express and calm themselves down. For example, a girl with mental stress used art therapy to express herself, and nature art helped her do it. If you want to see our PowerPoint presentation, please go on our website. Hey, wait up, we almost forgot our action.
Well, our main action exhibition is all about fundraising. It is helped to support the Art Therapy Foundation. This foundation supports the hospitalized children who do art therapy because they have some type of illness. This event will take place in the old grade 1 classroom. We turned this classroom into an art room. Thank you.
I think I'm only hearing wonderful presentations today, and I got loads of questions for you, so let's go in the chat room and talk about them. And before I forgot, if you have got any questions, go to slido.com and enter the code 818012. And if you want to look at the people's way of the group's ways, go to www.iceten.ch/exhibition-2021. And now, thank you. So, while this exhibition, how did your perspective change?
So first we thought that art therapy is only used when people have cancer, but it's also used when you have trouble speaking. They use it as a mode of communication.
Okay, and Anvi, what are the 2 things you want to achieve with this art therapy action? What are the 2 main things?
Well, the first thing we want to achieve is donating the money to the Art Therapy Foundation. And the second main thing we want to achieve is everyone coming to our event and expressing themselves.
So you want that a lot of people, you help them and donate money?
Yeah.
Okay. And there are many types of therapy. And what are the benefits of art therapy?
There are many benefits of art therapy. In fact, many people use art therapy. For example, soldiers, young patients, adults, etc. But one thing we really find interesting is every therapist we've talked to and every video we've watched say that all the patients have gotten calm after doing art therapy. For example, the therapists don't know if the patient will make it because they're severely sick. But they do know the process they go through gives them hope and keeps them calm.
So it's basically not the end of the therapy, it's during the therapy where the help actually comes in, what makes the patient calm. Did I understand that correctly?
Yep.
Okay, and I really don't draw good. I draw really bad. And can you still do art therapy then? Like, could I do art therapy?
Well, art therapy is not really about the art, it's more about the therapy. So no, you don't need to be good at art or being an artist to do art therapy.
So basically, I could also do art therapy if I
Yeah.
wanted. Okay, and we got some questions from Slido. And somebody asked, could we use art therapy in schools?
Yes, of course you can.
You could. Okay. And somebody else asked, what kind of issues can you delete with art therapy?
So basically, if you use art therapy when you're in school, like if you get bullied, then you can actually express it on paper, and you might actually forget it. You forget that you got bullied before.
So it kind of brings the past away and brings the future in.
Yeah, it helps you do that.
Yeah, and somebody also asked, why did you choose art therapy and not a different therapy type? Why did you choose art therapy?
Well, people can choose art therapy for many reasons. Example, like there's also normal therapy they can choose. But if they don't know how to talk, or maybe if they don't want to talk about it, then they can express it by art.
Okay, that is actually pretty good. Like, you don't have to talk or not a lot of talking. Okay, thank you very much. Now we have this was a wonderful, wonderful speech of you and a conversation. I've learned a lot, so maybe I'll try this art therapy once and see if it actually works. So give the art therapy group a round of an applause. I think they did a great job, and we had many groups. Unfortunately, we are a little early, so I'm welcoming the space group in to ask them some more questions. So give the space group a round of applause for more questions. Welcome back.
Thanks.
Yeah, I can't see it. So welcome back, and I wanted to say something. We just got a small technical problem. We gotta get that iPad away. I can't see anything. We have to get it away. I can't see the board. Sorry about this, but now we can keep going, and let's hope we don't have any more technical problems. I find this that came up here on the question on Slido a very interesting question. Can you eat food in space? What do you eat in space?
Well, you can eat food in space, but it's like a special kind of food so that nothing happens to it.
Okay. So you gotta eat kind of special food?
Yeah, some food that won't get damaged or anything while you're in space or rot quickly.
Yeah. Okay. What inspired you most about this exploration, about the space exploration?
The thing that inspired us most was probably how we get there and if there's life on other planets.
And is there actually life on Mars?
There isn't life on Mars, but I think it was last year, I read this article about that it's possible the aliens are somewhere in space, but if they were, they'd be something like 500,000 light years away.
500,000 light years away. Okay, is light years a long time?
Yes.
A long time, yeah. Just had to make sure. I was like thinking it is most probably long, but to make sure.
Yeah.
So thank you. Now, thank you very much, and yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
I don't think we're gonna invite you back on again. Not because we don't like you, just because. Thank you.
Why?
Bye. So we have seen now until now 3 wonderful groups. They have all had wonderful speech. Now we are just having a short break until 5:40. Make some popcorn, grab a coffee or tea, and make yourself comfy on your couch again. And if you have any more questions or comments, please feel free to put them on slido.com and enter the code 818012. And if you want to look on the sways, please go to www.isdn.ch/exhibition-2021. Thank you very much. Have a nice break and hope to see you back. Bye! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Exhibition Live Show 2021. I'm glad that you switched on again. I hope your popcorn has popped now, so you can eat them on your couch. Now, I really have to say a big thank you for all the people who put a comment or question in slido.com, and also who looked at the sways. I also big thank you to them. Now, we have 2 more groups, Evolution and Farming, to come up. So give now Evolution a round of applause. Round of applause.
Hi, I'm Hamza. And I'm Soham. Our group was interested in evolution, DNA, and its links to viruses. In this exhibition, we are going to be focusing on how an animal changes, mutates, and what important role DNA plays in our lives. And we're also going to look into how RNA and viruses get into a cell. These are our lines of inquiry. Our first line of inquiry is how DNA changes and how that can impact animals. Our second line of inquiry is how animals can survive and thrive. Let's tell them about line of inquiry 1. Okay. So, line of inquiry 1 is how DNA changes and how that can impact the animals. So, what is DNA? DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. DNA is the molecule that contains the genetic code of organisms. We all have DNA. If we all didn't have DNA, we wouldn't survive. We all have different DNA. Some people have same DNA, some people have different DNA. If we all had the same DNA, then we'd do the same things and look the same and tons more. That's why we all have different DNA. So I'm also going to speak about another important factor, mutation. Mutation is basically change. And mutation in an animal is when an animal's DNA changes into something different. So the changes can be negative or positive. So if the changes are good, then the changes might help the animal survive and thrive and reproduce. But if the changes are bad, then the animal might not survive, and then it might end up all bad for them, and they might not reproduce, meaning the whole series of the animal is gone.
and they're extinct, basically.
So this is our DNA model me and Hamza made together. And we made it by using some foam balls, and then we painted them and put them against these sticks over here. Then we hot glued them to one big stick and put them in a spiral shaped form. And then finally, to hold everything down, we put a base beneath it so it wouldn't fall down. Also, we made a video to explain DNA. You can find that on our Sway if you want.
Now, let's go to our second line of inquiry. Now that we have given you an understanding of what DNA is, so our second line of inquiry is how animals survive and thrive. So basically, to know how animals survive and thrive, we need to go way back in the past about a man called Charles Darwin.
Who is Charles Darwin?
Charles Darwin was a scientist who learned about animals before, and he went adventuring around the whole world. So when he stopped at the Galapagos Islands, he found out that there were a bunch of finches, birds, that were almost looking the same as the ones that he had found in South Africa. Though the finches looked a little different. They had longer beaks to get through the sugarcane that they had at the Galapagos Islands, but the South African species didn't have that. Therefore, the theory stands that Darwin got very interested in that, and then he made a theory, and it stands as survival of the fittest, meaning the changes you had. So the birds had changes from the South African ones, but the changes actually helped them. So you need to adapt and survive wherever you are, survive and reproduce.
Food chains are also important in evolution. Food chains are when there's a primary source of food, and then a primary consumer goes and eats that food. Then a secondary consumer goes and eats the primary consumer, and then a tertiary consumer goes and eats the secondary consumer. It is a cycle because one creature needs to eat the other creature to survive. The food chain can impact the animals, and in order to survive, they need to evolve, just like the ones on the Galapagos Islands.
Now we can talk about endangered species. And endangered species are basically species that are known to God. Endangered species meaning animals that are basically not left in the world. There are a lot of endangered species out there, meaning if they don't adapt to the environment, and if like the changes don't help them, then they might not survive.
Endangered species, meaning animals that are close to extinction. There are many factors that impact that. And if you would like to know more about this, make sure to read the Conservation Group's exhibitions book.
Now we're gonna talk about Schweinsport. So he made a video on how viruses and RNA gets into a body.
This is a virus. Imagine when I'm infected. Imagine you are infected. And the person and then if you're watching this video, imagine you spread the virus. You be like this, and it goes to my mouth, then goes into my body, attaches to my throat cells, to any kind of my cell. Cells are tiny, but I just wanted to zoom in to see this. Viruses are even smaller. And it can find, and then when it goes around your cell, it signs a receptor. It attaches to it like a key in a lock. Then, when it attaches to a cell, it will therefore go into the cell. So this, instead of go inside, it would actually go inside and disappear. And at the same time, it would send, RNA is in the core, it would send codes. Instead of using a factory to make good things, it will make viruses, which makes the severe worse. Imagine a factory using rubber. So you know what is rubber? Imagine it makes buckets, but instead of making buckets, I switched. Instead of creating buckets, I created pipes, which same thing as this one is using your cell material called cell membrane, which instead of making good stuff, the virus will start making viruses using that, which would therefore make the severity worse. That's why it's called severe acute respiratory syndrome, that's why it's so popular that spreading these kind of viruses is very dangerous. When it's inside, like here, these are nucleus. Can you see here? Show the phone here. These are nucleuses. Where nucleuses hit here, this will become attached here, which will therefore make more and more viruses, making the severe case worse and then infecting you more. And then because it takes some time, so usually when you get the virus, after several days, you would then receive the symptoms. It takes several days because it takes time to go inside, find the virus, like that. You may think it will go quick, but actually it will take a long time. So that's how it will work that's how long time it will take.
In order to explain, when DNA becomes infected by a virus, this causes changes in living things, which affects their ability to survive. If you want to know more about viruses and DNA, go to our survey. If you would like to learn more about how viruses affect our daily lives, Shwen has got some excellent research on this way.
The most important things I learned through my research are that DNA is very important in our lives. Everything matters on DNA, and DNA is very helpful.
I have learned that DNA holds a very important role in every living creature's body. DNA is like the genetic code of organisms. If we didn't have DNA, we wouldn't be able to do anything and we wouldn't survive at all.
So our central idea is genetics is the key of life.
Thank you for listening to our exhibition presentation.
Wow, guys, the presentations are not getting worse after the break. So, if you have got any questions to any group, please go to slido.com and enter the code 818012. And if you want to take a closer look at this way, go to www.isdn.ch/exhibition-2021. Now, please follow me in the chat room. So, microphone. So, how are you feeling? Completely fine, okay. So, you were talking a lot about DNA, and I don't quite understand. Is DNA actually really important so something can evolve? Or?
Yeah, DNA is important in that, because if an animal's DNA doesn't adapt, then he doesn't get to evolve, and so that impacts on the animal, and he might not survive.
So this DNA makes the animal basically adapting?
No, so animals have DNA, but if it doesn't adapt when it needs to, then they might not be able to evolve.
Okay, so the DNA has to adapt.
Yeah.
Or they die. Okay. And you've told the DNA is not always positive, but can you tell if the DNA is gonna come, if the, not a DNA, I mean the evolution is gonna be positive or negative?
Yes, but no. Because whenever we don't know that, because basically it's random. So it could be a positive change, it could be a negative change. But from the past we can look what has happened to the animal and maybe find out, though it's probably gonna be positive or negative. It's random, we can't figure it out.
So you can't figure that actually out if it's gonna be positive or negative?
No.
No, and you've been also working very long time on this and very hard. And what if you had more time now to research how long you would want, like exhibition restarted? What would you do?
Then I'd probably learn about genetics and how genetics works, and basically go more into science, not just animals but everything else, and find out how cool all the things like chemistry, biology, physics, all of that, and how cool it is.
Okay, and yeah, that's actually very interesting. And what is the most interesting animal you've seen evolute? What was the one that was really interesting for you?
The most interesting animal, I think, was the liger for me, because...
What's a liger?
Okay, a liger is when a tiger and a lion mates.
Yeah.
And their kid is a liger.
So lion and tiger, and that equals a liger.
Yeah, basically.
And does a liger kind of look like with a tiger's head and a lion's back? Or I don't know how to imagine a liger.
So a liger kind of is similar to its parents, but it's very big in size.
It's bigger than, it will grow bigger?
Yeah, it will grow bigger than its parents.
Bigger?
Yeah,
Yeah.
way bigger.
Yeah. And somebody posted on Slido, what motivated you to learn more about evolution?
Well, what motivated me to learn about evolution was, firstly, I was just going that, yeah, animals are cool, but then as I went on and on, I found mind-blowing stuff. So firstly, I found a video about meiosis and how meiosis works. It's basically how cells replicate, in your body. It's very complicated.
Sorry for interrupting. What's replicate?
Replicate meaning, say you are one Cedric,
Yeah.
then you become two Cedric, three Cedrics, like that. So they.
I wouldn't say that would be positive for me. But I understand what you mean.
So when cells replicate, it's when cells replicate and they have more cells and more cells. So that's where I got the meiosis, and then I told my team members, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing DNA now, and because I like the topic, and then they also said, yeah, it's interesting, and then they also started to join me.
So it started from a small thing and ended with this exhibition.
Yes.
Okay, it has absolutely been super interesting to talk with you, and how animals evoluted. I didn't know I know there was some slight changes, but I didn't know there were there's a big topic about it. So thank you very much. Give the Evolution team a round of applause. And if you've got any question for them, go to slido.com and enter the code 818-012. And if you want to look at this way, go to www.eisden.ch/exhibition-2021. Thank you very much. But before out of further ado, I'm welcoming the farming group! Woo!
Hi, I am Ayushman.
And I am Mateo.
We are going to talk about technology in farming. But first, before we talk about technology in farming, let me tell you about our central idea and lines of inquiry. We have chosen the central idea as how technology can help stop world hunger and encourage responsible consumption. Our two global goals are zero hunger and responsible consumption. And our lines of inquiry are farming on land and water, responsible consumption of food, and how technology helps improve farming.
Now I will talk to you about different types of fishing. We have the first type of fishing called bottom troll that consists of a net attached to a sheep, and the net goes below the water in here, so then all the fish get captured. The second technique is called fishing with line. It consists of having food in the line, so the fish go to eat the food and they get trapped. The problem with these two techniques is that when we do them, fish are supposed to be trapped, but we could also trap sharks and maybe whales, and we do not want to trap those kind of animals, because if they get trapped, they will unfortunately die. Then the third one is gill net. It consists of a net in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, that captures the fish. And when the fish get captured 1 week, maybe that time, there's people that go with a ship and they put all the fish trapped in their sheep. And the last technique is the porcine, that consists of, like, the fish always are jumping. We have this net attached to a boat, so when the fish go here and jump, they will get trapped in that net. At least they jump again and they go out, but don't think that will happen. Now I will pass it to Ayushman.
And let me tell you a little bit about my research. I have researched on the 9 latest technologies used today. First, let me talk to you about my 4 favorite. That are Geographical Information System, also known as GIS, is a type of technology used to collect data from the field. It also guides the farmer to the tasks it needs to do. He needs to do like water resources nearby, like rivers or ponds. He can take water from there to give the plants by forecasting the weather and seeing if there's any drought or any scarcity of other nutrients the plants need. Then comes the drone. The drone is a type of technology in agriculture used to monitor the fields. As you see here, it has a camera that is used to monitor the fields, then take image of the crops and check how they've changed through time. Then comes the satellite-based agriculture. That is one type of technology used to take image of the field, to forecast weather and monitor the crops. Okay, then after that, my last and least is the self-driving tractor. It's a type of tractor that drives by itself. It does not need any person to drive it, which makes it less risky. Then some of the other technologies include blockchain, sensors, combining data, online data, and the Virgo robot. These are some of the other technologies used. Then after that, I'll talk a little bit about my prototype. I've made this prototype at my home. So this prototype is a field that has technologies around it, which include the self-driving tractor. It moves by itself too. One fertilizer and water sprinkler, a drone, a satellite, a robot digging a hole in the field to put seeds, a fertilizer storage, geographical information system, and a deposit compost. That's my prototype.
Now I will talk to you about a visit that we did to a fish farm. One of Ms. Jaz's friends works in a fish farm. So we went in there and he showed us some stuff. So they had a system called aquaponic, which combines aquaculture with hydroponics. And here we have the fish tanks where they have fish. In here they use all the technology that the fish need, so then they grow good. We also have the fish in here. You can see it better. This fish, I think they are perch. Then this in here are other types of fish, and they're in different rooms because they need different temperatures and food. And then this fish is one fish that unfortunately died, but here we can see it. Now I will talk to you about our prototype. This prototype is an aquaponic. I'm gonna make aquaponic is growing plants like agriculture, and hydroponic, which is growing fish. In here we have the black house where the lettuces are starting to grow. When the lettuce starts growing a bit, it goes to this floating mat where we have the lettuce, and they are floating in water. This water has all the nutrients and vitamins they need. When the water loses the nutrients and vitamins, it goes to the fish tanks. In here they stay for 1 week around there. When the fish waste, due to fish waste, the water gets dirty. So the water goes to the first filter called the biofilter. This filter separates the liquid ammonia from the solid ammonia. The solid ammonia goes to compost, and the liquid ammonia goes to the second filter, called the living filter. In the living filter we have some tomatoes and red worms. The red worms eat the ammonia left, and the tomatoes absorb the ammonia. And then when all this filtering happens, the water goes back to the lettuce, and this is a cycle that always happens. Now I will pass it to Ayushman that will explain the lettuce part better.
I am going to talk about the hydroponic process for growing lettuce. First, we sow the seeds into styrofoam seed trays, like this one. Then we put the seed trays in the dark house. After being watered for 2 days, a radicle comes out, which is the first leaf to sprout out from a seed. After that, they take the seed trays to these tanks. Here they get all the nutrients they need to grow. Though it's a greenhouse and light comes in, we use LED light to choose the right radiation for the plants to grow quicker. After they're fully grown, these plants are taken from this side of the tank till this side where they're finally harvested. While harvesting them, the plants, they get a little bit of dirty leaves, the lettuce, which is why those leaves are plucked and thrown away. The roots of the lettuce are wrapped around each other. They're put in this fridge where they store things, and they wait for a truck to take them to a restaurant or shop to sell and eat.
Now I will talk to you about the aquaculture side. When the water goes to the fish tanks, it stays for 1 week. In these fish tanks we have tilapia. And we only have male because we do not want them to reproduce. Because the eggs could go to the lettuce and that will be a total disaster. So when the water gets dirty due to fish waste, it goes to the first filter, called the biofilter, that separates the liquid from the solid ammonia. But what is ammonia? Ammonia is a chemical compound. The solid ammonia goes to compost, and the compost is later used to make plants. The liquid ammonia goes to the first filter, called the living filter. In this filter, we separate in this filter, there are some red worms and we have tomatoes. The tomatoes absorb the little pieces of ammonia left, and the red worms eat the big pieces of ammonia left. When all this filtering is done, the water goes back to the lettuce. And we do this because this is a system that is sustainable, because first of all, the water we use, we are always recycling, so we never reuse water. So we are always recycling it. Plus, my idea of doing fish farms and that kind of stuff, and Ayushman's idea of doing agriculture. So this system combines our both research and both ideas. Thank you.
And this is our prototype.
Yeah.
This was another amazing presentation. Actually, all the presentations I've seen today were absolutely amazing. And I still have, unfortunately, a few questions for you, so please come in. So, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Me too.
That's good to hear. So, Ayushman, what really interests me is your self-driving tractor. Can you tell me more about that tractor?
Sure. So, this tractor does not use any fuel to vastly work and generate itself. It uses electricity to make itself work, and also, as the word autonomous, it's also called the autonomous tractor, which means it drives by itself and it uses GPS to navigate where it's going, which means it uses satellites.
That's pretty cool, actually. If you think about it, it would be so cool if that would also work with cars, you know?
Just only one problem. Sometimes while creating electricity, we use fuel such as coal and those things to produce it, which might create sometimes greenhouse gas emission.
So it's not always good.
Yes, but there is also a good way of creating electricity. They sometimes use turbines or lithium batteries to produce electricity.
And I'm for sure these tractors that work self-driving use the good electricity and not the bad.
Yes, they do that.
And Matteo, why was the old fish farming so unsustainable?
Because the old fish farm that it's still used in some places of the world, it goes attached to a ship and it goes through the ocean, right? So the problem with that is that if we want to capture 1,000 fish, we will capture 1,200 because we do not control and we do not know how many fish are there and in the exact place where we are going to trap them.
Yeah.
So with this new system, we are controlling and we do know how many fish we are fishing, how many fish we are going to sell, and that kind of stuff. So it's controlled.
So it's just more controlled.
Yes.
And also with this new fish farming technology, you can stop hunger. Correct, Ayushman?
Yeah, we can. We can stop hunger as we produce more fish. We produce more fish, but in a one responsible way, we can create more food.
So it's not only good so that we have more control of fish, also good for the poor who don't have food.
Yes.
And also, Matteo,
you have visited this fish farm. You've told us a little about it, but could you tell us a little more about this fish farm?
Okay, so this fish farm had lots of places. I think it's a university exactly.
A university?
Yeah, my mom used to work in these universities too. What happens is we have the fish tanks.
Yeah.
And we have so many, but they do not do it for selling like big things, like thousands and thousands. They sell a bit, but what they do is they use new technology and they kind of try it
out.
And they like for doing that, and plus they are also studying the fish while doing that. So this is a great place where to learn and where to study, because you're using the newest technology that maybe in years it will be used in all the world.
So this technology will be used in every place?
I'm not sure if it will be used in the future in all places, but if it happens, it will be really good for the planet, because we are controlling and we will not overfish.
Okay, this is actually, I was never a big fan of fish, but with this fish farming, fishes are pretty interesting. Even I like the ones that they jump over the net. That's pretty acrobatic.
It's cool.
It's cool, yeah. It's cool. Thank you very much. Sorry, I forgot something. Happens. Somebody had put a Slido question in here. Sorry. What did you enjoy most from your research? Someone asked.
What I enjoyed the most is researching on what I like, because exhibition gives you this opportunity, because you choose to what you research. It's not like everyone chooses something exactly topic. Everyone from all the class. No, you choose what you want, and it's what you actually like, so you actually research good.
Yeah. And we just received another question. Did you have the same information that you didn't use? If you do want to use it, if you do want, is it? Huh?
Okay, that's
Did you have some information that you didn't use?
Well, not really. I didn't have any information that I didn't use. I just put the main parts of my the information I researched.
You squeezed it all into these 15 minutes of your percentage.
Yes.
I guess that's a really hard job. Like 2 months and 15 minutes?
2 months of research, and we have to build them in 15 minutes. Not easy.
Not easy for sure. Not easy. So give the farming group a round of applause. Thank you everybody who switched on in the live show exhibition 2021. I thank you very much. And again, if you want to watch this, if you want to see the students sway, go to www.iceden.ch/exhibition-2021. Thank you very much, and everybody, good night.